After a run rule victory for the Texas Monarchs last night, we get ready for Game 2 of this 4-game series. The temperatures again hot, a blazing 96 degrees in Central Texas, and both the Monarchs and Hub City Adelitas are ready to battle the heat and each other on a Friday night here in San Marcos. Coming to you from Bobcat Softball Stadium on the official WPF YouTube channel, Brant Freeman alongside Bill Colhane. And Bill, speaking of the heat, the Monarchs are heating up. They've won 2 in a row.
Yeah, momentum's a wonderful thing. The Monarchs coming off that 5-2 series-ending win over defending champions, the Smoke, and started last night's game awfully hot, especially offensively. And we mentioned that win against the Smoke. It was this Jaden Vickers who was able to shut down the Smoke lineup.
Big night for Sarah Vanderford in last night's series opener. Vanderford was part of a 4 RBI night, hit a 2-run homer. Her first home run as a pro, and the rookie did not miss that pitch.
Yeah, you say the word rookie, and Vanderford, through her first 5 games as a professional, has been exceptional.
So Vanderford with the home run again, her first as a pro. Bill talked about her start, 7 for 17 at the plates, and now she is up to 6 runs batted in. Into the batter's box, Sarah Bryant should be facing off against the aforementioned Jaden Vickers. This game with 1 pitch is underway. A fly ball left center, high off the wall. And how about a way to start this game for the Hub City Adelitas? First pitch and a double for the former Louisiana Raging Cajun.
Yeah, you look at Sierra Bryant, and everybody knows her background, 2021 Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year. And as a table setter, exactly what you want to do.
So Bryan with the base hit, her first of the series. And again, Vickers in the circle, the former Kentucky Wildcat. Again, great numbers for her on Sunday against the Texas Smoke, as that's pushed foul by Lena Reboledo. And Vickers against the reigning champion Smoke, 7 innings pitched, a complete game. Struck out 9 batters in that win.
Exactly right, a lineup that doesn't strike out very often. And like she has now in that game against the Smoke, Vickers only 2 innings in which she retired the Smoke 3 up and 3 down. So she was accustomed to having traffic on Sunday.
Reboledo looks at a pitch low, and Bryan takes off for third as that ball goes off the glove of Piper. And the Adelitas' first run of the series now at third base. What a nice touch, by the way, for the Monarchs on their jerseys. First time we're seeing these. The script lettering of San Marvelous, the nickname to San Marcos here in Central Texas.
A phrase that you and I have been known to say a time or two. Back to the pitch that got away from Piper. Good anticipation by Bryant. Good aggressiveness.
Right now the batter, Lena Reboledo from Riverside, California. A former Utah Valley Wolverine out of the WAC. A ball and 2 strikes. Borderline pitch taken by Reboledo for ball 2.
How do broadcasters get one of those jerseys? Do you have any connections?
I have fewer than you think. And you're probably not even thinking of many. So the number's 0. 2-2. That's high, fills the count, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Saw Vickers use her rise ball effectively against the Smoke on Sunday. Was able to get some swing and miss out of it. Weak contact, I think, was the theme on Sunday.
Full count, swing and a miss and a foul tip strikeout. First punch out today for Vickers, who again struck out 9 on Sunday. And what was so unique about that performance is look back at the strikeout here. The night before, Monarch pitching 0 Ks in 13 innings against the Smoke.
Yeah, 58 plate appearances specifically, and it just tells you the kind of job that Vickers was able to do.
Out of the plate, McKenna Brocky, the shortstop.
And I think we saw last night how important that win was for the Monarchs coming into this series.
A run rule victory, winning last night's game 8-0. And for the Monarchs, the franchise's first ever run rule victory, and also on their first ever winning streak. They've won 2 in a row. Meanwhile, the Adelitas have dropped 3 of 4 after winning opening night last Thursday in walk-off fashion themselves against Coastal Bend.
You know, speaking of Coastal Bend, the Smoke went on the road and knocked off Coastal Bend 4-2 last evening. So the Smoke sitting atop the standings at 4-1.
Pitch misses low and in. Count evens to Brocky 2-2, the shortstop out of San Diego State. Signed with the Adelitas franchise back on June 17th. Foul away.
San Diego State, beautiful campus there east of the downtown San Diego.
You were out there recently, weren't you?
Yeah, I've been out there a number of times, and yeah, again, absolutely beautiful.
I know you and I like to cross off stadiums off our list. I've yet to go to Petco Park. I understand it's a great place to catch a big league game.
Yeah, I've been there a handful of times, and certainly in my top 5, whatever that's worth. You know, it'll always be Oriole Park at Camden Yards for me.
It's funny you say that because the color scheme of the Monarchs jerseys tonight would kind of remind me of your hometown team, the O's. That black lettering and orange jersey. Brocky, a swing and a miss for Vickers. 2 strikeouts after the double hit by Bryan, the first pitch of the game. And now there's 2 outs.
Boy, again, Vickers challenging these Adelitas hitters and able to beat some bats so far in this ball game.
And so for the season, Vickers now up to 11 strikeouts. Here's Daisy Munoz. And behind, 0-1. You look at Monarchs pitching, dating back to the 5th inning of Saturday's game against the Texas Smoke. It's only been a trio of 3 pitchers. Vickers, Slaughterbeck last night at Aspen Wesley. Those 3 have given up a grand total of 4 earned runs over the last 21 innings pitched.
That'll win you some ball games, especially as we've seen the past 2 games for the Monarchs. Monarchs have enough offense. They'll score some runs against some people.
And Slaughterbeck was the one who got the win of the circle last night. Her first as a pro. 4 scoreless innings. And what was an 8-0 victory in 5. 1 ball and 2 strikes to the batter Munoz. Justice Perry waits on deck. Munoz in last night's opener drew a couple of walks and then lined into the game's ending double play. That ball lined off the glove of Lewa Day. That's a fair ball and a base hit. Drives in the Adelitas' first run of the series, first run of the game, and on top of the big 2-out base hits.
Big 2-out base hit. After the leadoff double, you get back-to-back punch-outs. Get a look at it here. Almost an incredible play by Day, laying out there at third base. But back to my point, back-to-back strikeouts. If the Monarchs could have put up a 0 there, you wonder what that would have done to the spirit of the Adelitas.
So a couple of doubles in the inning. Adelitas now have 3 in the series. And that was just the second 2-out hits for Hub City this weekend. Just 1 last night. Now to the plate, the DH, batting 5th in the order, Justice Perry.
Former Auburn Tiger. Got on a couple of times last night.
And like a few of the players and all the rosters across the league, also spends her time as a coach. Perry on the coaching staff at Swarthmore College. 2 balls, 1 strike to count. Perry, the 5th batter of the inning. And a run already in for Hub City.
You talk about a moment ago, the big 2-out RBI. Another chance here for the Adelitas, of course, to score with 2 down.
Count evens 2-2. The offense never got going last night. Held with 3 hits, just 1 for extra bases. Already 2 doubles here in the first inning. And you mentioned, the player here, Perry, got on a couple of times last night, a walk and a hit batter. There were 5 free passes the Adelitas got. Couldn't cash any of them in. That's popped up, should end the inning. And Keene makes the catch in center. But Hub City with his first lead of the series, courtesy of a 2-out RBI double from Daisy Munoz. We head to the bottom of the first. Monarchs batting for the first time. We're back in San Marcos after this. Hub City on top 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the first inning. In the circle tonight for the Adelitas, Chloe Temples just signed with the franchise last week, in fact on Sunday. Hailing from Marietta, Florida, spent 3 seasons in Provo pitching at BYU. 3 years as a Cougar, more than 380 strikeouts, and making her second appearance in the series. Pitched really well out of the bullpen last night, got a single inning of relief, but it was a scoreless frame and struck out 2 along the way. The batting order she'll face for the host Texas Monarchs, led off by Briley St. Clair. In left field, batting second at second base, Kylie Sand, formerly of Rutgers, and then the ex-Texas State Bobcat, hottest bat in this lineup, Sarah Vanderford, bats third. Batting cleanup at third base, Laywa Day from Sacramento State, and then batting fifth in right, Sarah Fessler. Batting sixth, one of the veterans on this team at the pro level, Lily Piper, the catcher. Batting seventh, the DH, Trinity Slaughterbeck. Batting eighth in center, Jenna Keene. Batting ninth, the ex-Seminole from Florida State, the shortstop, Devin Flaherty.
Mentioned Temples, Florida native, began her collegiate career in her home state of Florida at Stetson. First couple of seasons before making her way out to Provo. Experience, 93 starts across her collegiate career. She's been in the circle before.
The batter, St. Clair, 1 for 2 with a walk and a run scored last night. So, you see the San Marvelous jerseys the Monarchs are wearing. Well, San Marvelous part of the culture here in San Marcos, as is what you hear blaring in the background, a train whistle. Our first set of train cars of the night. You know, a game that we played all season long in our coverage of Texas State softball and baseball throughout the year was counting how many cars we caught on the broadcast throughout the year. I think we got up to 28s.
Throughout the season?
Yes. Now,
I would have guessed more.
Now your window is 2 to 3 hours. That's
sure.
it.
Yeah. I still would have lost that bet.
I think you made the observation in the extra inning game that we had last Saturday. One of the trains we saw in the 5th inning came all the way around to the 12th.
Yeah. That was what, 4 hours?
4-hour game on the dot. St. Clair on 4 pitches takes a walk.
Just like we saw in the top of the first inning, Brian able to get on base to start things for the Adelitas. St. Clair does her job.
And so now in 4 of the 5 innings, the Monarchs have batted. The leadoff runner is reached. As Kylie Sand comes up, she had a big moment last Saturday against the Smoke with a bases clearing double. Last night, Sand 1 for 2 with the run batted in. And takes a strike with a call from a plate umpire, Paul Boyd. Looking at the goals of the 2 teams tonight, the Monarchs playing for a 3-game winning streak and to get to a 500 record for the first time this year. For the Adelitas, trying to avoid what would be a 4th loss in 5 games. 0-1 to Sand. That is a fair ball inside the line. On her way to third, St. Clair. She's got some wheels, and she's at third safely. To second base is Sand, and here come the Monarchs, 2 on and nobody out.
Brown in right field did a tremendous job. We'll get a look at it here. Got to the ball quickly there, but St. Clair is showing off those wheels. Look at this. Brown couldn't have played this ball any better. Did a nice job of turning her hips, made a strong throw into third base.
And Sand on the throw advancing to second. She's credited with a single. So here you go. Second to third, nobody out, and the hot bat of Vanderford at the plate. A 4 RBI night in last night's opener, including a 2-run homer in the first inning.
First baseman Munoz is in quite a bit, despite the power bat of Sarah Vanderford. Get a look at her over there at first base.
There's something notable about that Vanderford homer last night as well. If you recall, Destiny Brown in right field had a chance to retire Vanderford, dropped a foul ball during her at-bat. 3 pitches later, bang, 2-run homer. Fly ball, right center field. Brown on the run, tracks it down. That will be deep enough to score St. Clair. And the throw to third base goes awry, but Sand will stop there. And with that, we are tied. And for Vanderford, that is now RBI number 7 on the season.
Yeah, almost got that ball up into the jet stream. The wind is blowing out tonight, which here in San Marcos means it's blowing from the south. And don't know if we'll get a look at it, but St. Clair at third base almost left the bag early. Actually had to retreat, go back to the bag before tagging and coming in to score.
Here's Leywood Day batting cleanup. Went out in the inning and Sand at third base. Day making her first start of the series. Out to a 3-for-10 start as a pro. The rookie from Fairfield, California, played her college softball at Sacramento State. Owned several program records as a Hornet. Homers, runs scored, slugging percentage, and total bases.
You and I talked about it last weekend as we did our preparation for the season. You look at these bios of these players. Impressive stuff from top to bottom. You can name the programs, and you've talked about, I know you and Ty talked about it last night, these teams that were in the College World Series, but a number of these athletes played in programs that we've all heard of, fixtures at the top of the softball world.
But you and I made the observation last week as well. Yeah, you hear program names, like Duke and Texas and Florida State jumps off the page. Certainly it does, but not to be lost in the conversation, some of these great mid-majors being represented. Two, 1 from Temples. Swing and a miss, strike 2. So Temples again, the pitcher. 3 years at BYU. And this year, a chance to pitch in the Big 12. First year for the Cougars playing in the Big 12 Conference.
Yeah, you and I talked about it last weekend. You have to keep your whiteboard updated on who's where in terms of programs. Big pitch here with runner at third and less than 2 outs.
You think about the Big 12 now, what it will be here in a few days. A lot of West Coast expansion. The additions coming up, Arizona, Arizona State, Utah will all be in the Big 12 along with BYU. And really you're covering each coast now. You got UCF, in the East, in the Eastern time zone in Florida, and you got those teams in the West Coast time zone.
A lot of travel. A lot of travel for the student athletes, for the coaches, the staffs involved.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and that's out of the zone. Fills the count today. Sarah Fessler awaits on deck in a 1-1 game here in the bottom of the first inning.
Speaking of travel, as I drove in and parked, which is essentially the players' parking lot, the Adelitas bus is out there, 400 miles from Lubbock to San Marcos. That's not exactly a run to the corner for a gallon of milk.
Not.
kind of drive.
That must be one heck of a gallon of milk if you do. As Day strikes out, first punch out today for Temples. That's good for the second out.
Change up. There, got Day out in front, and don't recall that we've seen the change from Temples yet, but pitched it in a big moment there to get the punch out with, again, you had a runner at third, fewer than 2 outs. Really anything is going to score that runner, anything that's put in play.
Brings up Sarah Fessler, the outfielder for the Monarchs. Runner at third base and 2 down. It's so funny just how large this state is that, again, all 4 teams in the league playing in Texas, that, yeah, you can drive 8-9 hours within the state and still be there.
Well, that's a good point. You know, it's 400 miles from Lubbock to San Marcos. It's another, 150 to Coastal Bend?
Yeah.
That's quite a trip between those 2 organizations.
1-0 pitch. Here's a fly ball towards left field, high in the air, not deep enough, and the catch made by Rebolledo to end the inning. But Sarah Vanderford drives in another run of the series. She's up to 5 RBI against the Adelitas. Her sac flies tie the game at 1. We go to the seconds. You're watching Women's Pro Fast Pitch on the official WPF YouTube channel. Each team with some first inning offense. The Adelitas struck first with a run in the top of the first inning, courtesy of Daisy Munoz, driving home Sierra Bryan to lead off the game with a double in the first pitch of the night. Bottom half of the first inning, Monarchs respond. Kylie Sand with a big base hit down the line. That drove Briley St. Clair to third base, and then Sarah Vanderford drove her home with a sac fly RBI. And the big weekend continues for Vanderford. With that, the 1-1 game as we go to the top of the second.
Yeah, Sarah Vanderford in the WPF, she is a story that's growing here in the season is young. But I go back to a comment I made to you earlier. In terms of adjustment, how quickly would Vanderford adjust to the pro game? It's been pretty quick.
Wrapped up her college career just a few weeks ago, and yeah, the transition has been seamless so far for Vandy. As we see Lily Piper, or beg your pardon, Emily Bracamonte, looked at the wrong side of the scorebook there. Bracamonte, Peyton Lopez, and Flores bat for the Adelitas here in the second. And the first pitch, just above the letters, it's ball 1 to Bracamonte. Another player, like Chloe Temples, the starting pitcher for Hub City, just signed a few days ago. On June 23rd, there's a fly ball to right. Fessler coming in, can't make the catch. Looked like maybe she misjudged it early, but the throw into the infield, and that's in time. Bracamonte trying to leg it out to second base, and she's gunned down with, and that's good for the inning's first out.
Yeah, a couple of misreads there. First of all, on the fly ball, Fessler froze for a moment. You'll see it here off the bat. Fessler freezes, then she comes in. Say this, though, tremendous job of keeping her wits about her. And talk about a strong, accurate throw. Look at that.
Out of the plate, Peyton Lopez. Nobody on and 1 away. Lopez from Chehalis, Washington. Coming from Portland State. You can see her wearing the batting helmet here tonight. Career .279 hitter with the Vikings. 19 homers and 107 runs batted in.
Portland State, located directly in downtown Portland.
You've been, right?
Been there a couple of times. You know, you and I have broadcasted a number of events, games, what have you, and back then, unusual, it was a football game, unusual setup. Played at the baseball stadium there in downtown Portland, and our booth location was actually kind of atop along a walkway overlooking the stadium, the field. A beautiful setting here for broadcasting and game operations.
You will notice that Lopez not wearing a jersey number. She's officially listed as number 80 for the Adelitas. Swing and a foul tip as Lopez just got a piece of that.
Vickers able to ride that ball up and in. That's one thing Vickers did effectively against the Smoke on Sunday is she moved the ball around the strike zone. Hardly anything was ever middle.
1 ball, 2 strikes. It's a big miss there from Vickers, and Lopez wouldn't chase. Count evens 2-2.
I imagine the weather's a little cooler in Portland today than it is here.
At first pitch, 96 degrees outside. And the thing is, too, a lot of the league hosting games here. This is the home site for both the Smoke and the Monarchs. There'll be 32 games played in St. Marcus and the WPF this year, or St. Marvelous, as the jerseys would tell you. But that means here in the Texas heat, in Central Texas, you're going to be playing in the 90s to triple digits just about every one of those days.
Hydrate, right? That's the key.
Yeah. And there you look at Bobcat Softball Stadium. Just behind home plate is where the baseball program plays here at Texas State. So the two facilities located back to back. This was also the site of this year's Sun Belt Conference tournament. Won by the host Bobcats. We've talked up Vanderford quite a bit, and she was named as the most outstanding player of that tournament.
And you and I, there's a look at the former Bobcat. You and I have talked about Vanderford's success thus far, and I'm sure a part of it is the confidence and the comfort of familiar surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't explain all of it.
Catcher's timeout called by Piper. So you see Vanderford playing at first base tonight. Did so on Sunday against the Texas Smoke. And she's been at every infield position as a pro except shortstop, and I guess you could count catcher.
One way to get Day into the game defensively. Day, a really good third baseman in her own right.
Full count. Foul away again by Lopez.
And you probably got tired of me saying it this past weekend, Brant, but I think a part of it is when these GMs constructed these teams, one of the things they looked at was position flexibility. You know, can a player play more than one position? Lily Piper behind the plate. You know, we've seen her play at first base. In college, she was a shortstop at Ohio State.
Full count from Vickers. And that's a walk. Harder to walk at that for Peyton Lopez.
Tremendous AB, and you know, you and I say it sometimes, you change one thing, you change everything, but just go back to Bracamonte and her leadoff single where she gets thrown out trying to stretch it into 2.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So now runner first, one away for Casey Flores. Flores, again, one of the huge swings for the Adelitas last week. The walk-off homer in the 8th inning and opening night in the win over Coastal Bend. Outside for ball 1. Flores 0 for 2 last night. Player hailing from El Paso. One of 2 former Lubbock Christian University softball stars on this Adelitas team, along with Savannah Wysocki. And there for a strike 1-1. So you would think there's a good fan base for those two when Hub City plays back home.
And Lubbock Christian has a tremendous history in athletics. Obviously, you know, it's not the Florida States or the Auburns or Texases of the world, but they've done some good things out there, Lubbock Christian.
And I believe Lubbock Christian's facility is to be the home stadium for the Adelitas, although it was not available last week. That's low, 3-1.
Adelitas making Vickers work, not expanding the strike zone, other than, I guess, a couple of pitches.
Hitters count 3-1. That's in there for a strike. Vickers again wrapped up her college career at Kentucky after 4 years at Rutgers. Second on the Wildcat staff with appearances this season with 26. Went 6-7 as an SEC pitcher. ERA slightly over 5. Full count pitch coming up. Headed towards right, and that's going to dump foul. Vickers 68 strikeouts and more than 77 innings with Kentucky this year.
And Vickers, in her time at Rutgers, you talk about, you know, what she did in Lexington, but her time in Rutgers, she pitched in some big-time ball games. She was the winning pitcher early on in her career against Northwestern. And you and I have spent time talking about the way the Northwestern program has ascended.
Another walk that side of Flores. Back-to-back free passes. So now 2 on, 1 out, and the 9-hole hitter coming up here for the Adelitas, Destiny Brown. That'll lead to a visit into the circle with Tyler Gunnelson, the pitching coach for the Monarchs.
Vickers issued 4 walks in the win against the Smoke on Sunday. We've already established that, yes, the Smoke got runners on, but Vickers, when she saw traffic out there, she really buckled down and was able to wiggle off the hook time and time again.
Yeah, you look at the staff numbers for the Monarchs now 5 games into the season. Staff ERA of 3.69. You would think that would be higher with the fact that their walk numbers are so high. Coming into this game, strikeout to walk ratio of 15-12. But as we pointed out, between Wesley, Vickers, at times Slaughterback, some of their best pitching has come with runners on base.
And we see the Monarchs now, you look in the left field corner, and activity down in the pen at the moment.
And getting loose is Alexa DeFeo. Had the play, but a bit elevated there from Vickers. 1 ball and 1 strike. The batter here, Destiny Brown, former Southern Miss Golden Eagle, who did not play in the Sun Belt, wrapped up her career in 2022 when the Golden Eagles were still in Conference USA. Now the count, of 1 and 2 strikes.
Paints the corner there, gets the call. If you're the Monarchs, hold on, I'm going to state the obvious. You don't want Brian to come up to the plate with a bunch of folks on. The top of the order for the Adelitas.
Borderline pitch. That's a tough take for Brown there. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Brown in her final year at Southern Miss hit a healthy 366. OPS over 1,000 in Hattiesburg. 2-2 from Vickers. Count fills, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Not missing by a bunch. The previous pitch, after working outside, tried to go inside to Brown to get that strike call. Didn't get it. Goes back outside and just misses.
Sierra Brown waits on deck. It's the top of the order coming up for Hub City. Full count. In the air, center field. On the run is Keene. She'll make the catch. Tagging from second. Into third base goes Lopez. A productive out for Brown, and now there's 2 down.
And good read there by Lopez, the runner at second base. That was kind of a 50-50 decision on whether to tag and go or not. And a good read. Now we're going to have a pinch runner at third base.
And this is something we described a little bit last night, and that is in the WPF, your players in the lineup are allowed to serve as pinch runners, provided there's enough of a gap between their upcoming plate appearance and the number of outs.
And with Brown having just recorded the out, clearly that's not an issue.
I think Sierra Bryan maybe butted that off of herself. That's a strike, and the count's 0-1.
Yeah, close there. Not sure if we'll get another look at it. Of course, if Bryan bunts the ball and it hits her when she's out of the batter's box, that's an out. Now, she was clearly in the box. Good work by our folks.
Of course, in the college game, you cannot sub in a pinch runner who's in the lineup. That ball shot foul, and the count runs to 0-2.
I think, Brant, don't quote me, okay, don't write this down, but I think this is the only level of softball where I've seen that happen. But it could be due to roster construction, right? Just
absolutely.
In terms of number of players available, right?
0-2, little soft pop-up. Flaherty plays it back, throw to first, not in time. With Flaherty not aware of the situation there, Bryan, a really good runner. You have to be more aggressive on that ball. She plays it conservatively, and it costs the Monarchs a run. And now the Adelitas on top, 2-1.
Boy, Vickers got exactly what she wanted, but well placed. Flaherty, tried to set herself up for the strong, accurate throw, but you're not going to get Bryan there. She has speed to burn.
So Brown scores as a pinch runner. That gets away from Piper, and both runners are going to advance. So now Bryan at second base. Casey Flores at third. The batter, Lena Robledo.
But how many times do you hear coaches talk about giving away free bases? You take the force away from any base, puts more pressure on your defense.
Also in a position where a base hit that reaches the outfield will definitely score 2 as well.
Oh, Bryan at second base?
Yeah.
Yeah. She can go second to home in a blink. She has the speed that you and I had back in the day.
That day was a long time ago, if it existed at all.
It didn't for me.
1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Big development here for Hub City is that both of their runs have scored with 2 outs in this game. A 2-out double from Munoz drove home Bryan to the first. And a 2-out base hit by Bryan here. The second has made it 2-1. Been a long outing so far for Vickers. Swing and a miss. Strikes out Robledo for a second time. But again, the Adelitas find a way to score with 2 down. A Sierra Bryan infield base hit makes it 2-1 Hub City. We go to the bottom of the seconds. Adelitas on top here in Game 2. With the 2-out infield RBI single, courtesy of Sarah Bryant, former Sunbelt Player of the Year with Louisiana Raging Cajuns, the Hub City Adelitas out of Lubbock have taken a 2-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the second inning here in San Marcos. Game 2 of the series. Got Game 3 on deck tomorrow at 6. The finale Sunday at 1 o'clock Central Time. And Chloe Temple's back in the circle, her second inning of work after the Monarchs scratched across a run against her at the bottom of the first inning. Coming up for the host, Texas Monarchs, it is batters 6, 7, and 8. Lily Piper, Trinity Slaughterbeck, and Jenna Keene trying to respond after the Adelitas broke the 1-1 tie in the top half of this inning.
Coming back, we had a really good look at the flags, the U.S.-Texas flags beyond the wall in right center, and 13-mile-an-hour wind with gusts up to 20 here this evening. So anybody gets it up in the jet stream could play long ball.
Piper with a fly ball to center. Didn't get enough of that into the stream. Bryan with a catch in the Bobcat logo. One pitch and one out for Temples here in the second. And again, you mentioned the Texas flag. We got into the conversation earlier just how large the state is. I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today talking about crossing state lines a couple of times over and not Texas, but being able to do so in a couple hours time, getting to 4 different states. And that just sounds bizarre to me because you can drive all day and still be in Texas. To give you an idea just how large the state is, the city of El Paso, which is in southwestern Texas, is closer to Los Angeles, California than it is to Houston, which is in East Texas.
Yeah, one of the craziest things is driving east to west on I-10, and you get there to the eastern border, and we all know the mileage signs, and there's a sign there as you cross from Louisiana into Texas, and it says El Paso, and I'm going to be wrong with the number, but it's something like 860 miles.
Yeah. I know that sign.
You know the sign.
Yeah,
you've been over to Louisiana a few times, haven't you? So, yeah, it's the Lone Star State's a big one.
And then you grew up kind of, on the East Coast a little bit as well.
I did.
All those states kind of compacted with one
yeah.
another.
Yeah, colonies is what we call them, the colonies. But, yeah. I can remember, and we won't spend too much time on this, but I can remember the thought of driving 3 hours to Philadelphia or 5.5 hours to New York. You didn't even consider it. And
you could make a day out of it, right? D.C., Philly, New York.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, easy. Well, I say easy. Back then when I lived there, we didn't think it was so easy. And there's traffic involved and whatnot. But just in terms of distance, yeah, it's different when you're here in Texas.
Yeah, here it would be hard to make a day out of Houston, Dallas, San Antonio.
Yeah.
Foul back by Slaughterbeck. Count fills 3-2. Again, last night's starting pitcher for the Monarchs got her first win as a pro. Now batting the DH spot. Speaking of the East Coast, from Williamsport, Maryland, and a former Maryland Terrapin before wrapping up her career at FAU.
I'm going to be in D.C. in a couple of weeks. Won't be very far from College Park.
Full count. Slaughterbeck with a ground ball to short. Brocky makes a play, and there's 2 outs.
Flirting with our first 3-up, 3-down half inning of the night.
I think we had several of those last Saturday in a game that went 4 hours, 13 innings.
Yeah.
The pitching duel between Samantha Shao of the Smoke and Aspen Wesley of the Monarchs was unbelievable. Nobody on, 2 away for Jenna Keene.
Louisiana Raging Cajuns well represented here tonight. Keene, a former Raging Cajun, and we've already discussed the exploits of Bryan for Hub City.
Speaking of Louisiana. You know, we went on at length last week about the coaching change. Jerry Glasgow leaving Lafayette to take the head coaching job at Texas Tech. Well, the Raging Cajuns have since hired the replacements, and a lot of fans very excited about the new coach in tow there with the Raging Cajuns. Former player Allison Habits has taken over as Cajuns head coach.
Yeah, former softball and basketball player for the Raging Cajuns. And on the staff at Alabama, we all know what the Crimson Tide have done in the world of college softball. Tremendous hire.
You've been to Tuscaloosa for softball.
I have.
Yeah. Nice SEC facility, I take it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Crimson Tide, like you and I have seen as we've traveled around college softball, Alabama has certainly invested in their program. As we sit here in this booth at Texas State, 25 years ago, it wouldn't have been like this. You and I would have had a card table, and we'd had ball caps on to protect from the sun.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And Keene takes strike 3. Second strikeout for Temples. And the Adelitas do deliver that first 1-2-3 frame of the night. We are through 2 innings here in Game 2 of the series. Hub City on top of the Texas Monarchs, 2-1 from Bobcat Softball Stadium. We're back after this. A couple of 2-out RBI base hits for the Adelitas has put the visitors from Hub City on top 2-1 as we navigate to the top of the third. And back in the circle again, Jaden Vickers for the Monarchs on this beautiful yet very hot Friday night here in, San Marvelous, Texas, also known as San Marcos in some parts. And on that tongue-in-cheek mention, we transition to the top of the third with McKenna Brocky hitting leadoff. She'll be followed by Daisy Munoz and Justice Perry for the Adelitas here in the third inning.
After kind of tough sledding through 2 innings, Vickers would dearly love a shutdown inning here in the third. The Adelitas have really made Vickers work through the top of the first inning, top of the second inning. Incidentally, no longer activity in the Monarchs bullpen.
Fouled away by Brocky, counts 1-2. Again, signed June 17th to the franchise from San Diego State, 195 games as an Aztec. A career .262 hitter with 70 runs batted in for Brocky. Her teammate, Allie Lights, last night starting pitcher for Hub City. Both played together in San Diego with the Aztecs, a program that went to 3 straight NCAA tournaments to close out their careers. One of the strong programs out of the Mountain West.
Those two didn't have to change their uniform colors. Talked about uniforms earlier.
Yeah, that's true. red and black for the Aztecs. That ball hit well towards the gap in right center, but cut off by Fessler. Got a good jump on that fly ball, records the catch for the first out.
Brocky, nice job taking that pitch the other way, but unlike we saw on a fly ball earlier, there, Fessler, a tremendous jump. Able to cut that thing off before it flirted with extra bases in the right center power alley.
Nobody on, one away, the top of the third for Munoz. The two athletes I associate the most at San Diego State, Marshall Faulk, Tony Gwynn.
I thought you were going to say a former Spur.
Oh, you're all right, him. Kawhi Leonard. 1-0 pitch. Another fly ball to right, and again, Fessler makes the catch. A couple of F9s here in the top of the third. Now there's two down.
Exactly, and obviously Vickers not back in the dugout yet. We see the southpaw spinning the ball there, but Vickers would like to get back in the dugout and get her offense back in there.
You ever look up, really dig into the numbers for Tony Gwynn?
Oh, it's ridiculous, the things that he was able to accomplish. And then, of course, went on to be an excellent coach as well.
I think I saw some kind of stat in his batting records against the Braves' great trio of Glavine, Maddox, and Smoltz. Something like faced them a combined 180-something times, had 3 strikeouts.
You mentioned Petco Park earlier. Right outside of Petco Park, Tony Gwynn Drive. Statue of was a great hitter, great man in Major League Baseball.
Two balls, no strikes. Now we have a strike, 2-1. Gwynn went on to spend some time as a coach for the Aztecs as well, yeah?
Steven Strasburg was one of his players.
Yeah. Bracamonte awaits on deck. Vickers just missing there. Pitch right at the knees, 3-1.
Yeah, and you say it, Brant. I say it. Everybody says it, little miss, big miss. And with the exception of a couple of pitches, Vickers has been around the zone all night.
That one, no question about it, that's low. And so Vickers denied her first 1-2-3 frame of the night. Extends the inning with a walk to Perry. And it brings up Bracamonte.
Yeah, Bracamonte, her first time, lifted one into right field. Fessler wasn't able to make the play. And again, it's easy to say now, Bracamonte should have stayed at first base. She was thrown out by a couple of steps trying to stretch it into a double. And what turned out to be a 1-run inning for Hub City.
Bracamonte again has been with the franchise less than a week. Played her college softball at Toledo where she wrapped things up with the Rockets. That's popped up and in foul ground. The catch made by Vanderford. So Vickers able to work around that 2-out walk to Perry. And we go to the bottom of the third inning. You're watching Women's Pro Fast Pitch on the official WPF YouTube channel. The head coach of the Texas Monarchs is Candace Fenton-Bachbrader. Her first season as Monarchs head coach for this expansion franchise. Also currently the head coach at Bowling Green out of the MAC with the Falcons. Just wrapped up her second season as head coach. Fourth year overall for a program that she used to play for back in the early 2000s. Her team trailing 2-1 as we go to the bottom of the third inning. And leading off here for the Monarchs, Devin Flaherty. Hitters 9-1-2 coming up for the Texas Monarchs. Flaherty with a ground ball to the right side. Bracamonte makes the play. There's one out here in the bottom of the third.
Quietly, Brant, for Temples, if you bridge back to the bottom of the first inning, has now retired 6 in a row. Couple of strikeouts mixed in there. And actually, you know, go back to Vanderford and her sack RBI, so I can do this 7 in a row, retired.
Back to the top of the order to St. Clair. Drew the only walk from Temples and would later come home to score. And St. Clair ahead here, a ball to no strikes.
You asked me about SEC and Alabama and their softball facility there in Tuscaloosa. Well, Mississippi State, look at St. Clair. She played in a really nice facility as well. Florida's is outstanding. What the Gators have there in Gainesville. You've been to A&M, and I've never been there. What are your impressions of that facility?
Beautiful, you know, and it got renovated recently as well. And the Aggies did host a regional this year in College Station.
St. Clair trying to get on will be in take mode here. Temple has been throwing strikes all night.
Yeah, not the situation for a green light here. If you're St. Clair, red all the way, and take strike one. Yeah, we talked about the San Marvelous nickname here, and of course St. Clair from Mississippi State. Their city as well is a great nickname. Starkville known as Stark Vegas. And that's taken for a strike at the knees. 3-2.
See, St. Clair, her reaction there, I think that's the illustration of not too excited about the call. Get another look at it here and caught the inside corner, at least in the opinion of the most important opinion of them all, Paul Boyd.
Boy, the look in her face said it all there, didn't it?
Yeah. Displeasure.
From 3-0 to a full count, and St. Clair fights it off.
I'll say this, though, and baseball, softball, doesn't matter. You hear it all the time. But when a pitcher is around the zone and throwing strikes, an umpire can kind of fall into a rhythm of the borderline stuff. You're going to get it if you've been throwing strikes all night long.
Again, her plate umpire, Paul Boyd, tonight. It was Jenna Bouillon behind the plate last night. Now she's at third. Lyndon Baptiste over at first base. Full count. And we'll do it again.
St. Clair fights off the changeup there, just able to keep her hands back long enough to get a piece of that.
Last week, when the Monarchs played their first games, all the players are wearing the batting helmets of their respective universities. But now you see a branded helmet here for the Monarchs here in week 2 of the season with that M butterfly logo. Right at the center of it, St. Clair draws her second walk of the game, a one-out walk. That'll end that retired batter streak Bill referenced earlier of 7 in a row, and it brings up Kylie Sand.
Yeah, that was a nice at-bat by St. Clair to battle, especially after we talked about it. St. Clair didn't like the strike 2 call, was still able to lock in, stay focused, as getting a word there. And St. Clair, she can run. Adelitas defensively will have to be on their toes.
So from a Bulldog to a Scarlet Knight, the ex-Rutgers star, Kylie Sand. Named all Big Ten this year. Sand with a swing and a foul outside of play. Speaking of places that we have been in our journeys covering college athletics, Piscataway, New Jersey, one of them, home of the Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
What year was that?
2018.
Yeah, I was going to say 1918.
Not the year 1918, 2018 or 2019.
Yeah, you and I were just babies.
Fun fact, Piscataway, New Jersey, the birthplace of college football. And St. Clair takes off for second. Got a good jump. And now the tying run in scoring position here for the Monarchs.
Yeah, I think if Lopez even comes up with that pitch, there's no way at all going to be able to throw out St. Clair. Good read there by the Monarchs coaching staff. That appeared to be another changeup, and it almost looked like Lopez was trying to throw the ball before she got it, trying to hurry it up.
That is the first stolen base of the series for the Monarchs, their third of the year. Now ball to strike Sand. The big bat of Vanderford awaits on deck. Sand swings towards left, and well played by Rebeleto in perfect position for out number 2.
And that's something, Brant, coming into the season we talked about, and even talked about it last weekend, is that as these coaches, as these players get more familiarity with their opposition, with the opponents, the scouting reports are going to grow. I'm sure the coaches and maybe even the players went back and looked at archive video and those kinds of things, but going up against somebody one-on-one is a whole different story.
2 outs, runner second for Vanderford.
Get a lot more information.
Big wave and a miss. Vanderford again drove in the Monarchs' only run of the first on a sac fly. And now to start her pro career, Vanderford 7 for 17 and up to 7 runs batted in. This is in 5+ games.
As this game has gone along, I've seen Temples use her change more often. All this ball has to do is find grass, and you would think that St. Clair would score from second.
Two and one. Good numbers for Vanderford in her final collegiate season. Hit .366 for the Bobcats, finishing the year with 11 homers, 26 doubles, among the nation leaders in that department, and 51 RBI.
Yeah, Vanderford, get a good look at her there in the right-handed batter's box as soon as she got on campus. She just started piling up hits, right?
She was the Sun Belt's Freshman of the Year in 2021. Went on to be named first team All-Conference a couple of times in her career. And what's funny, that year she won Freshman of the Year, the other player she was battling with in the Sun Belt was her own teammate, Jessica Mullins.
2 performers here in the WPF. Jessica Mullins on the pitching staff for the Smoke. And if the rotation holds, Mullins should be pitching against Coastal Bend tonight, one would think.
Yeah, I would think so. Vanderford looks at ball 4. So the second walk of the inning. Vanderford is on base for the first time tonight. 2 on, 2 out, and the cleanup hitter coming up Laywood Day.
Vanderford, run producer. We could also say the same for Day.
Yeah, Day this year for the Hornets drove in 49 runs. Talking about Vanderford drove in 51 of her own. Was a .379 hitter at Sacramento State. Swing and a miss, strike one. Day struck out against Temples back in the first inning.
They had some really good at-bats against the Smoke pitching staff this past weekend. Look forward to her having a really successful 2024 season.
Feels like it's been feast or famine for Day, either really good contact or strikeouts. She's now struck out 6 times as a pro. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
Pulled the string. Again, Temple's doing a nice job of mixing her pitches, keeping the Monarchs hitters off balance.
Got a tie run at second, go-ahead run at first base in a 1-run game here in the third. Monarchs only run scoring in the first. No room for error for Day. She's behind 0-2. Now a ball and 2 strikes on a pitch that was upstairs.
One of the things that we've talked about, Brandon, you see how this inning has started with free passes being involved, but 2 of the 3 runs that have scored tonight reached via a walk. And we've seen that play out so far in the early part of the 2024 season.
Foul back and Day stays alive. The co-Big Sky Player of the Year to wrap up her college career. 3-time first-team All-Big Sky player, 2-time All-Region. Now again, like so many of these players in both rosters and the other 2 rosters in the league, just a large resume at the collegiate level. Temple's trying to get out of a 2-out, 2-runner on jam here. Day takes just off the plate, ball 2.
Yeah, everybody kind of froze there for a second, the Matrix, waiting for the ruling there from Paul Boyd.
And so after the borderline pitch, 2-2 to Day. Temples strikes her out for the second time tonight. And the Monarchs ran 2 in the inning, 3 innings in the books. Chloe Temples and the Adelitas on top of the Monarchs 2-1 as they try to even up the series in San Marcos from Bobcat Softball Stadium. We're back after this. The head coach for the expansion hub city Adelitas is Jamie Juarez. Currently an assistant coach for Kelly Ford at Cal State Fullerton. Titans a really good year this year, 39-18, and pushed Stanford to the finals of the Palo Alto Regional just a few weeks ago. Former star pitcher at Ohio State, and has also played a lot of professional softball, and now coaching this pro team, the WPF. Her team on top, 2-1 as we go to the top of the fourth inning. Flores, Brown, and Bryant coming up to bat for Hub City. Batters 8, 9, and 1.
We talked about the opportunities for these athletes to take part in the WPF. We've also mentioned for the coaches, what a great opportunity to be involved in the game they love.
By the way, correction, leadoff batter here is Peyton Lopez, so it's 8, 7, 8, and 9 coming up. But Lopez hitting leadoff. Yeah, Ty brought up that point last night, Bill. You know, players here trying to continue their development with perhaps with the hopes of, you know, playing the game for a long time and maybe representing their country, playing internationally, and for the coaches a chance to also work on their craft.
No doubt. Things they can learn, things they can take back to their respective programs. I think it's outstanding. Again, everybody involved in the WPF making this happen. Tip of the cap to everybody.
No balls, 2 strikes to Lopez. Drew a walk at her first at-bats. 1 ball and 2 strikes now the count. You talked a lot about Vickers in the circle, you know, and how she's been living around the edges of the plate. Saw a really interesting video on social media a couple of days ago highlighting Montana Fouts, former pitcher at Alabama. And to practice, she would stack cement blocks at home plate and try her best to avoid them, but do so by keeping the ball in the strike zone. That was her way to work on the corners of the plate.
Interesting. You know, there's so many different ways to do things throughout sports, but certainly in the bat and ball sports as well. There's so many ideas, techniques when it comes to pitching, when it comes to hitting, base running, fielding, you name it.
That's high, 2-2.
There's not always one way to do something, to train.
And so, Lopez has gone from down 0-2 to a count full now, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
I know pitch count, we've established pitch count isn't as big of a deal in softball as it is in baseball, of course, but still, Vickers has had to work really since pitch 1.
In the air, right field, heading towards the foul line, and the catch is made by Fessler. So after the long at-bat, Lopez retired, and that's the first out here in the fourth.
Fessler's been busy tonight over there in right field. Adelitas' approach, and Vickers also has some velo. She's getting it up there, but Adelitas going the opposite way with these right-handed batters.
In there for a strike, 0-1 to Casey Flores, who also walked in her first at-bat. We discussed the NCAA tournament quite a bit with so many of these players having played in the tournament last month. Field of 64, yes?
Yes.
3 programs made the first ever appearance this year at a regional. Southeastern Louisiana, out of the Southland Conference, was one of them. Siena, out of the MAAC, as Flores strikes out looking, strikeout number 4 for Vickers for the second out. Look back at the strikeout for Vickers. Right down the pipe for out number 2. And the other team that made its first ever appearance, Dayton out of the A-10.
Softball has grown so much across the country, and
there's a fly ball to right, taken care of by Fessler. We'll continue that thought when we come back. And there is the first 1-2-3 frame of the night for Jaden Vickers. We head to the bottom of the fourth. Monarchs trailing 2-1. It is a one-run game as we go to the bottom of the fourth inning. Hub City on top 2-1. Coming up for the host Monarchs here in San Marcos. Sarah Fessler, Lily Piper, and Trinity Slaughterbeck as we bring you the WPF on the official YouTube channel, Women's Pro Fast Pitch. Understand some of our viewers are asking some questions as well. One of those being, how do you go about getting tickets or knowing when the teams are playing? Well, you go to the official WPF Instagram social media account, and the entire schedule is there. So you know when each team is in town in their respective cities. 3 cities in the league. San Marcos hosting both the Smoke and the Monarchs. Hub City playing games in Lubbock, and Coastal Bend playing their games in Corpus Christi. You can also go to the official WPF websites, wprofastpitch.com.
Just to quickly, Brant, wrap up that thought I was talking about before we went to break after last half inning.
Fly ball, left field. Rebolledo was back at the track, can't make the catch. Fessler around second base, on her way to third with the first ever triple hit by a Texas Monarch.
Fessler doesn't want me to finish my thought, but I'll give my thought about that swing. Look at that. Got behind that ball and saw her hit a home run against the Smoke opening weekend, and she flirted with getting one out of here again. Tremendous at bat in a one-run game to get the inning started there. And Brant, I'm going to finish my thought just talking about the parity in college softball and how many more good to very good programs there are in college softball.
Popped up by Piper. And that is the first down of the inning. Fessler has to stay put, and what a way. Piper's 0 for 2.
Yeah, saw Piper dejected there. Runner at third base, less than 2 outs. Piper, a run producer, was hoping to get that one out to the grass somewhere. Adelitas in at the corners will, of course, try to cut the run down if Fessler should try to score from third.
Another question was posed by a fan watching. Which team should I pull for? I like the Adelitas logo, but I love the uniform combo for the Monarchs. I don't have an answer for you. Yet the decision everybody has to make on their own.
Yeah, you and I, we don't root for a team.
Mm-mm. We root for each other. That was the corniest thing I could have said there.
No, I appreciate that. And hey, speaking of rooting for each other, take people behind the curtain a little bit. And anytime you're a broadcaster, there's a lot of travel involved, and you miss special events, birthdays, games involving family members and friends, what have you. Well, our very own Brant, he and his wonderful wife, Linda, happy anniversary, partner.
Happy anniversary with a base hit to left field to tie the game. Slaughterbeck drives home. Fessler, now it's 2-2. With tremendous timing on your part there.
Slaughterbeck and I coordinated that earlier.
Right. So, yes, happy 16th anniversary to Linda. Couldn't think of a better way to celebrate than to not be with you and be here on the broadcast instead. So, bottom of the fourth, now to 2-2 game. Slaughterbeck delivers. And that's going to bring up Jetta Keene. Brand new game now.
I remember going to the wedding for those 2 young kids when they got married. That was a minute ago. Did you say 16 years?
16 years.
Yeah, we were
it's too long.
Children.
That was a joke. I made that joke to my wife last night. She didn't care for it, by the way.
Yeah, be careful. But nice base hit right there. Mm-hmm. Runner at third, and Slaughterbeck able to yank that into left field. When there for a while, Temples was virtually unhittable. Had a couple of walks she issued last half inning. Maybe that was a sign of possible things to come.
Bunt bent down from Keene. That is a foul ball.
Boy, not by much. You know, obviously with the batter's box, you don't get that line going from home plate up the first base line. But that one, if we get a look at it there. Huh? That was pretty close.
Call made by Paul Boyd on a ball that just went foul.
Because the line is fair, right? If the chalk is extended to the corner of home plate,
swing and a miss on a ball upstairs, 1-2. Inning began with a triple from Sarah Fessler. And 2 batters later, Slaughterback bringing her home with a base hit to left. 2-2 game here in the 4th.
How important are leadoff runners getting on? 3 of our 4 runs that have scored so far in the ball game were runners who led off innings by getting on base.
Here's a chopper to third base. Throw to second for the force plays in time. So Casey Flores heads up play at third, making that throw to second. Route number 2.
Boy, bang, bang. Off the bat, especially with that high hop. I thought for sure Flores is going to take the easy out at first. Instead, get Schlotterbeck by what it ends up being by about a half a step. Getting the lead runner, that's a tremendous play by Flores.
Not a Devin Flaherty. The 9-hole hitter with 2 outs and a runner at first base after the fielder's choice. Flaherty pops that one foul. So again, we talk about the batting helmets are now uniform here for the Monarchs with the team logo on it. But players still repping their colleges with some of the gear. You can see the arm guard there. Flaherty, Florida State's, where she played her college softball.
I have to believe, and I can't speak for all of the players, but I would think some of that is just having to do with comfort level, right?
Flaherty with a fly ball to center field. Coming in, Brines to make the catch. And the Monarchs will settle for the 1 run of the inning. Trinity Slaughterback driving home. Sarah Fessler has tied the game at 2. We go to the 5th here in San Marcos. Got a 2-2 game as we go to the top of the 5th inning. Sarah Vanderford is now moving over to third base, her natural fielding position for the Monarchs. Laywood Day is out. And looks like Emily Hott, who we've seen play in the outfield for a majority of the start of the season, is now going to play at first base here for the Monarchs. She's usually manned center. And now at first base for head coach Candace Fitton-Bachrader. Coming up in the top of the 5th, top part of the order, coming up for the Hub City Adelitas, Sierra Bryan, Lena Reboledo, and McKenna Brocky. 5th inning of work for Jaden Vickers. First pitch, lined foul. The numbers so far for Vickers here tonight. She is through 4 innings for the Texas Monarchs. Has given up a couple of runs. Both have been earned. She has struck out 4 and has walked 3.
Do have activity again in the Monarchs bullpen, but big part obviously of the batting order for the Adelitas. And now that the game is tied again, Vickers looking for one of those shutdown innings.
Perhaps some of the activity a product of the fact she's seen the lineup now a third time through. Bryant a good night tonight, 2 for 2 with a double. And here's a fly ball to left, and that is gone. Sierra Bryant and Oppo Taco. And the Adelitas take the lead back on top 3-2.
And Brian and the Adelitas have some fans here in the stadium, and they are loud and proud right now. And Brian, that was loud and proud off her bat. Did that go off the top of the fence?
Taking a look at the replay, and yeah, it just hit the top of the padding there. Bounces over for a home run for Bryant. First homer of the weekend for the Adelitas. And how about Brian's night? 3 for 3, a double, a homer, a couple of runs, and a couple of RBIs.
Triple shy of the cycle, and we have some game to go.
And she can run, too.
She can run. Now, of course, the triple's the most difficult one of the 4 to get.
Especially in this game when the park is smaller than in baseball. Yeah. Rebolledo over 2 with a couple of strikeouts. After the home run, a strike pumped in by Vickers.
Wait, right after the Monarchs tie the game up. What a jolt in both dugouts.
Kind of saw that in the second inning as well. The Monarchs scored the tying run at the bottom of the first. Adelitas come right back with a run to take the lead back. And there's a base hit up the middle for Rebolledo. And so the third time through the order, so far so good for the Adelitas. The first to reach with base hits against Vickers.
I believe that's DeFeo down in the bullpen, and she's really working now.
And here comes Coach Bachbrader. And maybe a change coming as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be it for Jaden Vickers. Going to bring in Alexa DeFeo. We're seeing her for the first time this season, hailing from Akron, Ohio. Spent 4 seasons playing for the hometown program, the Akron Zips, out of the MAC. Her final season with Akron was 2023. That year, 9 wins, over 132 innings pitched. A career-high 94 strikeouts for her as well. And fun fact, one of 2 players in this game, one for each team, that both went to St. Vincent St. Mary. At Akron, same high school as LeBron James.
Speaking of NBA draft.
Ty and I talked about it last night. Yeah, the big storyline of 55th overall pick in the second round, Bronny James, being drafted by the Lakers as DeFeo warms up here. There was a picture on social media of LeBron celebrating his 2007 Eastern Conference Championship. They went on to play in the finals, celebrating with a young kid in his arms, Bronny. And the funny thing is that LeBron's numbers that year, you know, when he's about to hit his peak, very similar to what he had this past season with the Lakers.
Big moment for DeFeo in her first ever game appearance in a Monarchs uniform. And again, the Adelitas, you have to talk about tipping your cap. You have to tip your cap to their fight. After watching their 1-run lead disappear in the bottom of the 4th inning, come right back and get the offense going.
So DeFeo will face McKenna Brocky with the runner on and nobody out in the 5th. First pitch is in there for strike, 0-1. DeFeo was originally a walk-on to Akron's program. So think about that journey if you're DeFeo. You walk on to your college program, go on to have a great career, and now you're playing pro ball. Bunt put down, and the throw by Hott to first base. Good stretch by Sand. You can see her trying to locate that foot back in the bag, does so for the out, but the sacrifice will move Rebolledo to second base.
Number 20, Daisy Munoz.
Don't forget, Hott just came into the game as a defensive replacement, usually an outfielder. So not an easy play to charge and turn over your left shoulder and make that throw. Not routine.
First out of the inning, here's Munoz. And a strike call in the inner half.
Here we are in the top of the 5th inning. How big would that run be for the Adelitas if they could tack on a little insurance?
That's off the glove of Piper. Another base for Robledo. She moves to third. We talked about that earlier, Bill, how big are extra bases in this game.
Boy. And you see there, you maybe got crossed up a little bit. It certainly appeared to be catchable, and with less than 2 outs. Now, of course, a sac fly brings a run in.
The batter Munoz, one of several Adelitas players that spent the winter playing in the Mexican Softball League, first ever year of that league. Played for the Veracruz Eagles, a season that ended in March. And there's the walk for Munoz, so runners in the corners, one away. The other base runner, Robledo herself, played in the Mexican League this past winter and helped lead at Charros de Jalisco to the inaugural Mexican Softball League, the LSM Championship, back in March.
Runners at the corners with one down. Let's see if the Adelitas do anything on the base paths here.
And there for a strike from DeFeo, facing off against Justice Perry.
Now, if you wanted to challenge the Monarchs defense, you could send Munoz, have her get caught up between first and second, send the runner from third.
See how strategy changes here, if at all, with the count now at 2 strikes.
Yeah, it does kind of change the mood, doesn't it, for the team up to bat. Now, if you're the batter, again, you just want to find a way to get this ball to the outfield.
Ground ball and snared by Vanderford, throw to second for 1, back to first, in time for the double play. A turn started by the veteran at third base, Sarah Vanderford, and a huge twin killing keeps this a 1-run game. Vanderford to second base to Sand, back to first to Hott for a 5-4-3 double play. The Hub City Adelitas playing long ball for the first time of the series. At the top of the 5th inning, Sierra Bryant, part of a big night, her 3rd hit of the game. A homer that goes off the top of the wall. It's also given the Adelitas a 3-2 lead as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. And there's Bryant manning center field for Hub City. Talked about her earlier, from Covington, Georgia. played for the Georgia Bulldogs for 4 years in Athens, but then transferred to Louisiana for her final college season. That year, her only year as a Cajun, Sun Belt Player of the Year and Newcomer of the Year. She was also named by Softball America as the nation's Transfer of the Year.
Another player very comfortable in the Adelitas colors, Georgia and Louisiana, red and black.
I thought you were going to say comfortable playing this ballpark with their experience with the Cajuns.
Could as well. I think, though, the year that she played for the Cajuns, that series was at Lamson Park in Lafayette.
Your memory is good.
She was really good for the Cajuns, and Georgia for that matter, right?
Bunt down from St. Clair. Play from third is not made. That throw gets away. Flores charging hard for that ball. Had to get it out in a hurry to try to get out St. Clair. But a wild throw, and St. Clair is safe at first base.
Boy, putting pressure on the defense is Flores. We've already seen an exceptional play from her tonight over at the hot corner and got to it in a hurry, but St. Clair, speed kills, right? It also puts pressure on the defense, and that's what St. Clair did there.
So, leadoff runner is on for the Monarchs for the third time in 5 innings in this game, and for the 6th time already in the series. Here's Kylie Sand, represents the go-ahead run. Bunt put down. That is a fair ball, and Sand out at first base. Another bang-bang play at first, but a good call by Lyndon Baptiste. She was out by a step.
Yeah, kind of looks similar to a bunt we had earlier where we saw a ball basically stay at home plate, and we questioned whether it was a fair ball, and it was a good call at first base.
Boy, I said a step. That's an eyelash.
Yeah, it's a half a step. And now big RBI opportunity by a RBI machine.
This is Vanderford, officially 0 for 0 tonight with a walk and a sac fly. That's ball 1. This is the 5th inning of work for Chloe Temples. So far, 4 innings in the books for the former BYU Cougar. There is some activity, though, in that Adelitas bullpen. Looks like Liv Gray and Allie Lights getting loose for Hub City.
Like St. Clair and Sand, this is the 3rd time Vanderford has seen Temples.
With first base open, I know you don't want to put the go-ahead run on, but you got to be careful if you're Temples here, falling behind Vanderford 2-0. You don't want to just groove a pitch down the middle.
Yeah, tread lightly, I think, is what you're getting at, Brant, because Vanderford could change the score quickly, as she's proven so far this season.
2-0. Vanderford takes a strike there, 2-1.
Speaking of Vanderford, think back to the double play that she started last half inning when it looked like the Adelitas, who had already scored 1 run to go back on top, when it looked like the Adelitas were ready to add more. .543 is not an easy way to get a double play in softball.
That ball driven to left, and that is gone. Belted by Vanderford, her 2nd home run in the series, and the Monarchs have their first lead tonight.
Tread lightly, he said. And just like Vanderford's home run last night, Brant gets out of here in a hurry.
Well, you said it.
No rainbow shot, right?
Nope, that ball on a rope hit towards the wall in the left center, over the fence. And again, what a remarkable start for Vanderford and her pro debut, her first professional season. 8 for 18, 2 homers, and now 9 RBI, her numbers through 5+ games.
I'm not sure if we're going to be asked to put together like our early season awards, but WPF Rookie of the Year, Vanderford's in the conversation.
Yeah. First pitch is low to the hitter here, Emily Hott, in place of Laywood Day. First at bat tonight for Hotz. Day finishes her night 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. Monarchs is a team now up to 5 home runs in the year. And 2 of those now for Vanderford.
And this half inning is one of the reasons, Brant, why you and I adore, absolutely love the game of softball. Starts with a bunt, then a sac bunt, and then the boom.
Yep.
So many moving parts, so many different things that go into this game. And you better be good at them all if you want to play winning softball. The ability for St. Clair to execute the bunt, to have the athleticism to beat it out, and then Sand gets the runner over into scoring position. That changes the at-bat for Vanderford in terms of how Temples is going to approach.
Hott with a sharp ground ball through the right side for a base hit. Hott's second hit of the series. First hit tonight in her first at-bat. It's now 3 hits in the inning for the Monarchs.
Yeah, look at that. Hott just bends down, able to yank that ball through the 3-4 hole. Not bad coming off the bench. We saw Hott with a nice defensive play in the previous half inning.
You know, we saw the Monarchs make a change in the circle. Jaden Vickers, her 3rd time through the order, you could tell the Adelitas were starting to hit her pretty good. We're seeing the same thing from Temples here in the 5th inning. That's bunted foul by Fessler. So you kind of wonder how much longer is that leash before the Adelitas make a change.
Yeah, great question. And I think, as I think back to the games that we've done so far this season, it's kind of following that script where, you know, batters are able to make adjustments. We've talked about the resumes, the bios of these hitters, impressive numbers. And so you know there's ability there in the batter's box to make changes and adjust.
Big rip from Fessler comes up empty, 0-2. Saw her triple her last time up and later scored to the base hit from Slaughterbeck. Monarchs a potential 3-game winning streak on the line tonight. Leading here 4-3 in the 5th off the homer from Vanderford.
And trying to stay on the heels of the Smoke.
There's a fly ball to right. Park's going to hold this. Coming in to make the catch is Brown for the second out. Good point there, Bill. The Smoke with their win last night over Coastal Bend are 4-1. And right now the Monarchs 2-3 coming into this game.
Yeah, it's not a 162-game schedule where you think, okay, you know, we'll just kind of get our footing the first month, 2-3 months and go for that final push. All of these games count, and another reason why the WPF season is so exciting.
There's the potential as well for the Monarchs to be alone in second place by the end of the night. If they hold on to win, that's a wild pitch that will award another base for Hott. She was over to second base. So right now there's a 3-way tie for second between the 3 expansion teams. The Adelitas, the Monarchs, and the Tidal Wave, all 3 teams 2-3. Monarchs win tonight, as do the Smoke potentially, then they're alone in second place.
With a little bit of confidence for the Monarchs in knowing that they beat the Smoke in the final game of that 4-game set.
Pinch hitters up here. Meanwhile, for the Monarchs, this is Kelly Torres hitting in place of Lily Piper. Could see Torres also take over at catcher when the next half inning begins. Or beg your pardon, we saw Torres come into the game at catcher in the top of this inning. And now batting for the first time, the former Duke Blue Devil. There's a fly ball headed towards left center on the run. The catch made by Sarah Bryant. Covered a lot of ground in a hurry, and that'll do it for the 5th inning. But what a swing from Sarah Vanderford. A 2-run homer for Vanderford's second home run in as many days. It's given the Monarchs a 4-3 lead. We're going to head to the top of the 6th inning. Monarchs on top by a run from San Marcos. We're back after this. We started off the broadcast with a look at Sarah Vanderford's home run from last night. Now we'll look at Vanderford's homer tonight. Moments ago in the bottom of the 5th inning, a 2-run bomb putting the Monarchs on top for the first time tonight as we go to the top of the 6th inning. Texas Monarchs on top 4-3. And the big series continues for Sarah Vanderford. 2 homers in the series, and she's now up to 6 RBI. And we're only in game 2.
She concluded her Texas State season, 2024, for Ricky Woodard and the Bobcats. Vanderford was swinging a hot bat, and she has just moved into this pro stuff. Just keeps it up.
Ground ball hit by Bracamonte, and the play from short made by Devin Flaherty. And a quick out here in the top of the 6th for Alexa DeFeo.
Not an easy play there. Don't overlook that. Flaherty has to range wide to her left, where, as you described, ends up at the second base bag and has to stop and then make that accurate throw. Not routine at all.
Peyton Lopez, the batter, here for the Adelitas. Nobody on, 1 away in the 6th in a 4-3 game. Monarchs on top, coming off their 8-0 run rule victory last night. Swung on, that's going to drop in for a hit. Lopez on with a 1-out single, and she's on for the 2nd time tonight.
Nice hit. We'll get another look at it in a moment. See there? Just goes the opposite way. Nice attempt by Sand, the second baseman, but too tall for her. And there is activity in the Monarchs bullpen at the moment. If DeFeo gets into additional difficulty, 1-run game here in the 6th inning.
And there was the Aspen Wesley, who was really good in a couple of relief appearances last week against the reigning champion Smoke. Wesley went 12 2/3 innings in her 2 outings last week and gave up just 2 earned runs.
Boy, she traded blows with Shao, the pitcher for the Smoke, in that 13-inning game. Just inning after inning, those two went at it.
Here's the batter, Casey Flores, takes a strike, 0-1. On the topic of big home runs, Flores again, the walk-off 3-run homer opening night last week against Coastal Bend. You know, we were relaying a story earlier for you. Flores and Savannah Wasaki, both on this Adelitas team, both played at Lubbock Christian. We've since been informed not only are they teammates professionally, before that collegiately, the 2 of them are cousins as well.
And understand something about the numbers. Lopez with 23 and Wasaki with 22. They've had the same numbers since they were in their youth softball days.
And Flores herself currently an assistant with Lubbock Christian in that Division II program. Outside of play, 2 balls and 2 strikes to count.
To what you said at the beginning, though, and you and I have said this time and time again, sorry, but these batting orders 1 through 9, don't be fooled and think like, okay, bottom of the batting order, a pitcher can just cruise through it unscathed. DeFeo has to be careful here.
2-2, ground ball smothered by Vanderford to second, back to first, and yet again a 5-4-3 twin-killing turn by the Monarchs. 2 big outs, and that's going to end the inning. The 3rd double play of the series turn by the host here in St. Marcus. We go to the bottom of the 6th, 4-3, Monarchs on top. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Chloe Temples prepared for her 6th inning of work. Got a start tonight, her first professional start for Hub City. She's given up 4 runs so far. Her team trailing by a run. As we go to the bottom of the frame, coming up the bottom part of the order for the Monarchs, Slaughterbeck, Keene, and Flaherty due up for Texas here against Hub City. First pitch swinging, base hit to left for Slaughterbeck, a 2-hit night. And the leadoff batter is on once again for the Monarchs for the 4th time in 6 innings now.
Well, Slaughterbeck has had a nice night. There's the DP for the Monarchs. Of course, she had the big RBI single in the 4th inning, went left side through the 5-6 hole and does it again there with authority. Yeah, there was a point early stage of the game where Temples had retired 7 straight Monarchs, and you wondered if it would just be that kind of a night offensively for the Monarchs. And here as of late, Monarchs are squaring up balls.
Pinch hitter here for the Monarchs as you look at the 8:52 Union Pacific, right on schedule. Jada Kearney, the topic of former Georgia Bulldogs, as we talked about throughout the broadcast. Kearney batting here. And the runner on and nobody out.
Would suspect that Kearney would stay in, play some outfield for the Monarchs. And Brandon, I want to go back to a conversation real quickly you and I had as we went to break last half inning. A lot of softball fans watching here on YouTube. How many times have you seen a 5-4-3 double play end to half inning in back-to-back innings in college softball or pro softball, high school softball, whatever?
It is so rare. It's so hard to turn them, in this game. The bases aren't very far apart from one another. And what's interesting, when you and I were kind of openly wondering that, I mentioned to you that the host program here, Texas State, this is their facility, the team had a really good year this year, more than 40 wins, and went to the NCAA tournament winning a conference title. But one of the more impressive stats for that Bobcat team was I don't think they hit into a double play until about their 40th game of the year. Now, it's a good team, yes, but, in baseball, good teams through 40 games are going to hit into several double plays.
Yeah, because that's usually a product of, one, you get people on base, and second, people hit the ball hard. Mm-hmm. You very rarely see a weak ground ball, of course, turn into a double play. People are making solid contact. So anyway, I just thought that, you always come to the ballpark and every game you see something you've never seen before, and I can write that in my baby book.
Full count to Kearney. A pitch that didn't miss by a whole lot. Waiting on deck is Devin Flaherty. You hit the fast forward button to the top of the 7th inning. Batters 9, 1, and 2 coming up for Hub City, to include Sierra Bryant, who will bat second.
When you said 9, 1, and 2, I'm going to confess, when you said number 1, that really got my attention.
Ground ball to third. Maybe we have another one here. No, that throw going to sail into right field. Got over the head of the second baseman, Bracamonte. A wild throw by Flores. So instead of a potential twin killing, not even a single out there. 2 on and nobody out for the Monarchs here in the 6th.
Yeah, Flores does a nice job. That was not a routine ground ball. Kind of a lack of timing there between the third baseman and second baseman. Obvious bunt situation here for Flaherty. Monarchs only up by a run. Would like for DeFeo, whoever ends up in the circle for the top of the 7th inning, would like to have them have a little bit of wiggle room.
Timeout called by the pitcher Temples to visit with the infield. 4-3, Monarchs on top, 2 on. Nobody out, bottom of the 6th. Brant Freeman, Bill Colhane here with you. Game 2 of the series. We have Game 3 for you tomorrow, 6 p.m. first pitch here at Texas State's Bobcat Softball Stadium.
And for those of you in this general area, want to encourage you to come on out, catch a game live. After the game tonight, scheduled fireworks.
Actually, those are only Texas Smoke home games.
Thank you. So don't come out for fireworks tonight.
Well, you can buy some and set them off, I guess.
But be careful.
You want to give warnings to everybody.
Again, in at the corners, Adelitas clearly looking for Flaherty to bunt here. I am too.
Not showing. Ground ball to the right side. Bracamonte with a quick glance at second base. Thought better of that. Goes to first. So not a bunt, but as good as one if you're Flaherty. First out of the inning is productive. Now runners second and third.
Yeah, I'm interested, curious why there wasn't the bunt there, but the Monarchs, the coaching staff, Flaherty, they know, her scouting report far better than I do. Big RBI opportunity here for St. Clair.
4th time through the order now for Temples. St. Clair yet to be retired. 2 walks and a base hit. That's low for ball 1. And, moments ago, you're talking about Sierra Bryan due up for the Adelitas. Well, guess what? These next 2 batters, important outs for Temples because after St. Clair and Sand, guess who? Sarah Bannerford.
Sarah, can we call her RBI-ford? She's been a run producer so far in her young WPF career.
1 ball, no strikes. Count evens 1-1.
Don't be lulled to sleep here if you're the Adelitas, even though the count's a ball and a strike. St. Clair has proven that she can handle the bat. That's an important run there at third base. That's a great look at it there.
Continue to see Allie Light warming up in the Adelitas bullpen. Although just now she got done tossing. 1-1 pitch. Just catches the strike zone. It's 1-2.
St. Clair hasn't been real happy with Paul Boyd tonight a couple of times.
Kearney at second base. Lauder back at third. 1-2. Off the fist of St. Clair, stays alive.
Keep this in mind as well. St. Clair not known as a power hitter. Therefore, the Adelitas, their outfield has shortened up a little bit. So just because there's a fly ball to the outfield doesn't necessarily mean automatic sacrifice fly.
One-two from Temples. That's behind the plate, and it is out of play. Went off the net. No play there for Peyton Lopez. These two will meet twice more in the regular season. They play each other again in St. Marcus, July 11th through the 14th, and the final week of the regular season in Lubbock, August 8th through the 11th.
So the Monarchs will be making the 400-mile trip.
They will. St. Clair up the middle, knocked down by Temples, coming home to score Slaughterbeck, and there's no play.
Well, bang play. Temples did all she could to field her position, and once the ball trickles away with a speedy St. Clair, no way at all you're going to get her at first. And here's the thing. Off the bat, the runner from third, Schlotterbeck, wasn't coming, was holding at third. So tough break for the Adelitas.
That is a big insurance run as well for the Monarchs. 2-run game, still just a 1 out. And again, 2 on. Sand looks at a pitch inside, ball 1. Kylie Sand 1 for 2 with a sacrifice, hitting in the 2-hole tonight for the Monarchs.
Adelitas again in at the corners significantly.
First team all Big Ten honors at Rutgers this year for Kylie Sand. On the outer half of the called strike 1-1. Talked about the Monarchs making the long trip to Lubbock into the season. Well, next week this team is on the road for a 4-game series in Corpus Christi against the Coastal Bend Tidal Wave.
Boy, grab the bathing suits and the suntan lotion and the beach umbrellas. Beautiful down in Corpus Christi.
That will mark a second straight home series for Coastal Bend, again hosting the Texas Smoke this week. So here in San Marcos next week, the series is the Smoke against the Adelitas. You know, I wonder what the plans are for the Adelitas. The series, this one will end on Sunday. But again, that, as we've chronicled, that trip to Lubbock is really far as Sand fights it off. I wonder if perhaps the Adelitas are staying here after Sunday's finale as opposed to going back to Lubbock only to return the following Wednesday.
That is a great question, partner. We'll have to talk to the travel secretaries for each organization.
Again, the big bat of Vanderford awaits on deck. 2 on, 1 away, 2-2 to Sand, with a run already in for the Monarchs here in the 6th. Sand with a fly ball towards left, saw on the run. The catch is made by Reboledo. Both runners hold at their respective bases, and now 2 outs, going to bring up Vanderford.
4 RBI last night, as Brant mentioned. 3 RBI tonight, like Brant mentioned. When you talk about, you know, this 5-3 lead for the Monarchs, Sarah Vanderford, both offensively and defensively, her fingerprints are all over this thing.
Yeah, but the best player in the field 2 nights in. 2 on, 2 outs. Vanderford takes a strike at 0-1. From the greater Houston area, Pasadena, Texas, Sarah Vanderford.
Or the greater Houston metro area, as you're well aware, Brant, just in terms of prep sports and, you know, college sports, just so much going on and so many great athletes come from that greater metro area.
When you look at Texas State's softball roster, you'll notice a lot of players from that area.
I know Louisiana recruits, H-Town, as they call it. Just to name a couple. I mean, you know, University of Texas, you know, Kat Osterman, one of your broadcast partners, is from there.
Strike 2. As you look at Chloe Temples, again, got her first career start of the circle tonight. Facing off against Vanderford, still trying to figure her out. Vanderford with a sac fly, walk, and a 2-run homer. Temples has navigated through 5 2/3 so far. Her job to keep this a 2-run game before we go to the 7th inning. Vanderford lays off.
Well, that's a. I know she's a rookie, but that's a veteran take. Experienced hitter there to lay off that pitch. Because, you know, you're in another RBI situation, so, you know, you would think that your heartbeat would get up a little bit and maybe you'd be inclined to expand the zone. Well, that's why Sarah Vanderford does what she does. She's able to spit on that pitch.
Lays off that one as well. Did miss the zone by a lot, a little bit elevated there from Temples. Feels the count. This is going to give the runners a bit of a lead here. Have to wait till the pitch is released, but once it is, they can go.
Yeah, huge advantage. And 3-2 here, Temples has to be careful. Because right now, you're only a bloop and a blast away from tying this game.
Full count to Vanderford, and she takes ball 4 just inside.
Right, Temples gives a long look in, so that count goes from 1 ball and 2 strikes. The 2-2 pitch was close. I think we would agree. The pitch that took it to 3-2 was a big miss, but again, Vanderford on ball 4 is able to stay locked in, stay disciplined, and not expand the zone.
And now a circle visit here for Temples. Bases loaded. Kearney is the runner at third base. St. Clair at second. Vanderford now at first. And the batter is Emily Hott. Has a chance to really break this lead wide open here as Hott visits with assistant coach Tyler Gunnelson. Hott, in her first at-bat, singled off of Temples in the 5th inning. Former Baylor Bear coming off a career year in Waco. 11 homers this year for Hott. Had just 9 in her first 4 seasons. And Hott named second team All Big 12. Coming up at a big spot here. 2-run game. And they get a chance to add a lot of insurance here with 1 swing.
And even though Hott came off the bench, as Brandis mentioned, Hott got a good look at Temples. That was a nice at-bat, hard contact her previous time. Saw the ball out of Temple's hand really well.
Would think that Hott has some experience facing Temples with both BYU and Baylor in the Big 12 this year.
Good point.
No balls, 1 strike. Hott, the 7th batter of the inning, a run already in. The 0-1. A slight miss there from Temples, evens the count.
Some of the Adelitas fans here in attendance down below us, you could hear them. A little bit of displeasure.
Hott, part of a Baylor team that won a regional in a very tough environment this year at Lafayette. Baylor went on to play in the Supers after winning that series against Louisiana. Swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
St. Clair, the runner at second, a lot of speed, so you would think any ball that reaches grass is going to score 2, and maybe that kind of deficit would be insurmountable for the Adelitas. But right now, only down by 2.
1-2 from Chloe Temples. Fly ball hit to right field, going back. Brown at the warning track makes the catch. Emily Hott just missing a grand slam. We go to the 7th inning. Adelitas down to their final 3 outs. They need 2 runs when we come back. 3 runs, 7 hits, 2 errors so far for Hub City. 5 runs, 6 hits, no errors for the Monarchs. And Texas Monarchs are 3 defensive outs away from going up 2-0 in the series and piecing together a 3rd straight win. For the Adelitas, they need to score twice. In the top of the 7th inning, Alexa DeFeo in the circle came into the game in the 5th inning, relieving Jaden Vickers, and has since held the Adelitas scoreless. She'll face Destiny Brown, who hits leadoff here, followed by Sierra Bryant and Lena Rebeledo in the 7th inning. The count even, a ball and a strike to Brown, is 0 for 2 with a couple of flyouts.
And also with DeFeo coming in for Vickers, one thing, of course, she's allowed her team to do is set it up for the rest of the weekend. You know, for example, Wesley, as that ball's out of play. Wesley hasn't been used yet. Schlotterbeck, we've seen what she's done in the batter's box tonight, but she hasn't had to step in the circle.
Holojan did pitch last night, only win an inning.
Good point.
It felt like last week the Monarchs are having to go to the pen early and often against the Smoke. Ground ball. That one got by Vanderford, haven't said that much in the series. And just like that, the tying run comes up for the Adelitas.
Yeah, and we all saw what Brian did last time. And that's what, you know, I kept harping on the fact that in the bottom of the 6th inning, the fact that the Monarchs weren't able to add on, it sets up this kind of opportunity.
What a night for Bryant. 3 for 3, a triple shy of the cycle. Showing a bunt, takes it back for ball 1. Bryant doubled on the first pitch of the game. Later scored that inning. Had an RBI infield base hit in the 2nd. And an opposite field solo homer in the 5th.
If Brian does bunt, it's incumbent upon the second baseman, Sand, to make sure that she gets to first in a hurry.
Swung on, ground ball left side, off the glove of Flaherty into left. Another hit for Bryan, and now the tying run is on base.
Decision time for the Adelitas. Rebeledo, who had, of course, the strong single last time up. You know, do you have her bunt here, kind of take the bat out of her hands? But you do have Brocky and Munoz looming on the horizon, your 3-4 hitters. More drama here in San Marcos, Brant.
You know, and I go back at that play as well. You feel for Flaherty, a ball she couldn't field cleanly, but even if she had, I don't think she has a play on Bryant at first base.
Zero chance, and you're not going to be able to come up with that ball, make the turn, and get the force out at second either. And official score rightfully rules that a single.
By the way, Jada Kearney now in center for the Monarchs. We saw her pinch hit for Keene in the 6th inning. Now she's playing her position in center field. So the go-ahead run comes up in Rebeledo. 1 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. And facing DeFeo for the first time, bunt is shown. And a count of ball to no strikes.
So you coaches at home.
And now runner takes off for third. Brown over to second base. Bryant, a double steal.
But you just can't have that happen, right? If you're the Monarchs, that'll be a coachable, teachable, talkable moment for the Monarchs after the game. I think we're going to have a pitching change. What a heads-up play by Brown. You know, Brian's the trail runner. She's reading the runner in front of her. Brown got that all started. She anticipated. It's an aggressive, headsy play. And now, you know, I was going to be Mr. Brilliant commentator and ask the fans out there, would you bunt here? Now you don't have to.
So, change coming up here for the Monarchs. And we'll see who Candace Bachbrader goes with here.
I believe it would have to be Wesley. At least Wesley was the reliever we saw most recently warming up. And We've already seen Wesley this season. It will be Wesley coming out of the dugout. We've seen Wesley already this season come out of the pen and do tremendous work.
So there you see, yes, Wesley come in, as Bill just described. 2 appearances last week against the Texas Smoke. Her number is impressive. 2 earned runs across 12 and 2/3 innings pitched. Does have a loss to her record, but that was the tough luck loss in 13 innings against the Smoke last Saturday. Hailing from Philadelphia, Mississippi, another ex-Mississippi State Bulldog, along with Briley St. Clair. The 2 of them teammates for a long time in Starkville. Wesley with the Bulldogs this year, 15 wins, set a career high with 132 strikeouts, ERA of 3.15. Now Wesley, not big strikeout numbers in her so far brief pro career, just 1 across 12 and 2/3, and you would think that a strikeout would be desperately needed is not maybe the right word, but you would love to have one here. With runners in second and third, you prefer not to have a ball in play.
Yeah, no doubt. And the Monarchs, they have a very nice pitching staff, but yeah, they don't really have that pitcher who's going to mow through a batting order, especially the quality of the Adelitas, especially when you're looking at 2, 3, 4 coming up for Hub City. Now, keep this in mind. For the Adelitas, I don't know that they could pick 2 better runners to be on base right now than Brown at third and Bryan at second. Speed and then some out there for Hub City.
Wesley inherits base runners and a count. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Swing and a miss, pulled the string on her in a big way there. 1-1.
That's the pitcher's poison there, where you know the batter is hyped up, is ready to ambush a ball. So you pull the string, throw a change, and the batter corkscrews.
Robledo putting a bunt down, smothered at home plate, but that is a foul ball anyway. But Torres was on top of that in a hurry.
We've seen Torres so far this season. She did the same thing at Duke, where she's athletic behind home plate. She can field the position.
One ball, 2 strikes to Robledo. Pops it up into left field. Brown at third is going to stay at third base. Bluff coming home. Played well by St. Clair. Kind of caught that ball on the run. That's a huge first out for the Monarchs.
Well, a huge first out, and we said it. Wesley, in a perfect world, would like a strikeout. If she had a second choice, it was that. A shallow fly ball where you have to knock down anything and everything here.
Here's Brocky on the inside corner, strike 1.
If you're the outfield for the Monarchs, good luck. But if a ball's hit out there on the ground, you've got to get to it ASAP.
McKenna Brocky 0 for 2 with a sacrifice. 0-1 from Wesley. Fly ball, left field. St. Clair tracks it down. Brown will tag and score. Bryan over to third base. Kind of gambling there a little bit, but is in safely. It's a 1-run game, and the tying run now at third with 2 outs.
Yes, it was a gamble, Brant, but it was a nice aggressive play by Bryan. Why? Because there are a lot more ways you can score from third base than second base.
So now the Adelitas down to their final out. Here is Daisy Munoz. Runner at third base. First pitch out of the zone, ball 1.
How big is Torres, your catcher, in this situation? Has to make sure she keeps anything and everything in front of her. Bryan has already proven she's aggressive on the base paths.
2-0.
Didn't miss by much. Munoz, nice take.
Waiting in the on-deck circle, Justice Perry. Wesley trying to close the door here on Hub City. Behind 2-0. Then drops that one in for a strike, 2-1. If you remember, last Saturday, Wesley had a chance to end the game in the 7th inning against the Texas Smoke, but it was Silent Rain Espinoza with a 2-out base hit to tie the game. That's high, ball 3. And then no team would score again until the 13th inning. A walk-off double hit by Charlie Eccles with the Smoke that night. Hitters count. That ball is drifting foul. Hit that a long way, but out of play. And now the Adelitas down to their final strike.
That pitch was so far inside that Munoz couldn't get her hands quite inside of it enough to keep it fair.
Full count to Munoz. Wesley gets a weak ground ball on the right side. Fielded by Hot, flip to first base. Not in time. Munoz ties the game as Brian scores, and it's 5-5.
Absolutely amazing. Get another look at it here, and I do believe that that ball was literally off the end of the bat of Munoz. Yeah, it was a cue shot. It's a shot you see at your local pool hall. And that was a bang-bang play. Sand kind of doing a tiptoe act there, trying to get the tag at first base, her foot on the bag, I mean.
You know, if this were a college game, that would definitely be reviewed.
Yeah.
That was so close at first base.
Right. It was kind of clunky, right? In fairness to the umpire, it wasn't a smooth play by any stretch of the imagination. But it would be interesting to see if ball in glove, toe on bag beat the runner Munoz.
Now Jace Marie Fernandez pinch running at first in place of Munoz. And now for the Adelitas, now you're getting greedy, thinking about taking the lead.
It's Fessler, Torres, Schlotterbeck due up in the bottom of the 7th for the Monarchs.
And again, if you remember, the Monarchs had a chance to play add-on in the bottom of the 6th inning, left the bases loaded. They sent 7 to the plate, or actually 8, only scored a single run. Swung on left field, coming in is St. Clair to make the catch. A hard hit out for Perry, ends the top of the 7th, but the Adelitas have tied the game with a couple of runs scoring. The second of which scores with 2 outs. And we go to the bottom of the 7th inning in a 5-5 game here in San Marcos. Sarah Bryan has had her fingerprints all over this game. Bryan 4 for 4 at the plates, and at the top of the 7th inning scored the game-tying run with 2 outs, courtesy on the base hit from Daisy Munoz. And so because of that, we go to the bottom of the 7th, tied at 5 runs apiece. Coming up for the Monarchs, Fessler, Piper, and Slaughterbeck. Hitters 5, 6, and 7. And this now the 7th inning of the circle for Chloe Temples. The first pitch is a miss for ball 1.
Getting back to Brian. Brian has scored 3 of the 5 runs registered by the Adelitas tonight. So yeah, she's been important. And think about how crazy the game of softball is. Munoz, her ball traveled, about 25 feet off the end of her bat, and then Perry absolutely murders the ball, and she lines out to left field.
One ball, one strike to Fessler. Didn't record an at-bat yesterday for the Monarchs. Last week, Fessler homered on Saturday against the Smoke. A 2-run shot for her in that game.
Hit one off the wall tonight.
One ball, one strike as she bats lead off here in the 7th. That hits her. And so with that, the winning run is on base with nobody out for the Monarchs in the 7th.
And with Torres coming up, Torres, she handles the bat well. I've been wrong about 39 times tonight. I'm hitting my average, but I would expect that Torres would bunt in this situation and give an opportunity for Slaughterbeck, who's hit the ball really well tonight, to come up with a game-winning RBI situation. Do I have that right? Has it been 39 times tonight I've been incorrect? I lose count.
34.
34,
Yeah,
okay.
had to do the math in my head. All right, so here's Torres. Again, took the place of Piper back in the 5th inning. Not showing a bunt. Runner takes off for second. The throw is not in time. And a huge stolen base there for Fessler. The winning run now in scoring position.
And, of course, Torres, the bunt is still in play here. Get the runner over to third base with less than 2 outs.
And with that, you do see Munoz really cheating in from first base here.
Cheating in, and Torres, if you're not bunting, you do want to hit the ball to the right side. Get that runner over.
Swing and a miss. Strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike now to Torres. Kelly Torres from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
I'm kind of surprised that the left fielder Rebeledo and right fielder Brown aren't shortened up a little bit. That run at second scores, the night is done.
Torres lines it right back to third. Throw to second, sails into the outfield. Fessler takes off for third base again, and she's safe. So how about that sequence there? If you're the Monarchs, you wanted to find a way to get Fessler to third. I don't think it's how you draw it up, but it works, and that's the inning's first out.
Boy, first of all, yes, Brant, you get the hard shot, and another situation here where there's kind of that miscommunication, lack of timing in covering the bag at second.
Slaughterbeck digging in with a winning run at third base. Off the plate for ball 1.
Slaughterbeck has singled in back-to-back at-bats, has gone 5-6 hole, and both of the balls were squared up.
One and 0 from Temples. If she loses Slaughterbeck here, you might just see the Adelitas give her first base because her run does not matter right now.
Good point. And if you're Fessler, the runner at third base, and you see her doing it now, she's scanning the infield. She wants to know exactly where each of the defensive players in the infield is positioned, so on contact, she can immediately react, go or no go.
In there for strike 2 and 1. You don't see the squeeze play a lot in this game, softball. If you see it far more in baseball. Do you think about that, though, in this situation here?
Again, I go back to what I said last half inning, or when Flaherty was up. I don't know, can Schlotterbeck execute the bunt? Because your risk is, you pop it up, and all of a sudden the inning's over, and you're grabbing your gloves and going to play defense again.
Swing and a miss on an elevated pitch there from Torres, 2-2. Or from Temples, I beg your pardon.
I go back to my point. Brown, the right fielder, is playing deep.
Two balls, two strikes. Schlotterbeck a chance to win the game. And lays off the high pitch here. And what a good pick by Peyton Lopez as well. Out of her crouch. If that gets the backstop, this game could be over.
Great point. Temples is trying to go up the ladder, right? See if Schlotterbeck can get herself out in this situation. So all Schlotterbeck wants to do is get a ball to the outfield.
Trying to find a way to put a ball in play. 3-2. Temples has that pitch just fouled off by Schlotterbeck.
Up again, right? Trying to get that ball over the barrel of Schlotterbeck's bat. You hear foul balls and foul tips and foul ticks, and Schlotterbeck just got a piece of that. Let's see if Temples goes back upstairs, or if she'll change things up and try to go back down in the zone.
Saw a first for the Monarchs last night, their first ever run rule victory. Now playing for their first ever walk-off win. Full count. Schlotterbeck rolls one to the right side. And the throw home, not in time. And the Monarchs walk it off, and they take the first two games of the series. They beat the Adelitas 6-5 and have now won 3 straights.
Kind of delayed jubilation there by the Monarchs, but what an at-bat by Schlotterbeck, where she's able to foul balls off, she's able to battle, and finally just put it in play after we saw Munoz in the top of the 7th inning. Her RBI that tied the game wasn't a laser, right? Wasn't a line drive, and Schlotterbeck does exactly the same thing in the bottom of the 7th inning. A lot of happy faces for the Monarchs tonight.
To include a happy face there for Sarah Vanderford. What a night for her. Again, Vanderford for a second straight game, hitting a home run. This one a 2-run bomb in the 5th inning. Vanderford homered in the opener last night. Homers again here in game 2. And is tonight's player of the game as she and the Monarchs take this one by a final of 6-5. Looking forward to game 3 of the series here tomorrow.
Yeah, one of the themes we talked about as we entered tonight's broadcast was momentum. And now the Monarchs beat the Smoke, had the run rule victory last night. How much will this do? What will this do for the Monarchs' confidence going into tomorrow's game, knowing that they could come back time and time again tonight and finally seal the victory?
With that, the Monarchs are going to have won 3 straight. Record now at 500 at 3-3. For the Hub City Adelitas, they fall to 2-4. A tough loss for them. They have dropped 4 out of their last 5, but again, 2 games to go in the series. And next up tomorrow night, 6 p.m., right here on the official WPF YouTube channel. So, for Bill Colhane, I'm Brain Freeman saying so long from San Marcos, Texas. The final score and a walk-off. The Monarchs beat the Adelitas 6-5. For more information on WPF, log on to WProFastPitch.com. This has been a presentation of the WPF. Until next time, good night from Bobcat Softball Stadium.